Brilliant. Thank you, Mallet. So yes, a very warm welcome. Thank you once again, everybody, for joining this information webinar for our Social Leaders West Wales programme. My name is Amit Chadha. I am the Director of Programmes at Claw Social Leadership. I'm joined by a number of colleagues, Mallet from Claw Social, Reese, our interpreter, Siobhan from Compass, who I'll hand over to in a moment. And yeah, we're really excited to have you here, and we're really pleased that you're showing some interest in this really important programme. I'll talk you through the plan for this morning. We can just move to the next slide. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about who we are as Claw Social Leadership, why we exist, and how we kind of bring our beliefs into our program. I'll talk you through the program itself, the different components that make up the Social Leaders West Wales program, all the different bits that form the overall program. We'll also hear from Glyn, who's on the call, who's an alumni from a Wales place-based program, to hear a little bit about his experience on a similar program. And then we'll finish up with an opportunity for you to ask any questions, seek clarification, or if anything else comes up during the session. So just to start with a little bit about who we are. So if you're not familiar with Claw Social Leadership, we are all about making positive social change. We exist to provide really high quality leadership development. So we're focused on providing social purpose leaders at community or national or even international level, really high quality leadership development experiences, because we know that positive social change requires really carefully designed, nurturing leadership development. We also know that there's a significant gap in terms of third sector leaders really getting that well-designed, carefully delivered experience. So that's what we're all about, and it's through that high quality leadership development that we enable leaders to make that change, to support the communities that they're serving within their contexts. So one of our first things that we really believe, but also this is kind of illustrated in the way that we design our programs, is that we're always learning. We recognize that leadership is a lifelong journey. We're constantly developing and evolving as leaders. And so that means our eligibility criteria often is really open and encourages leaders of all levels and different experiences that have some kind of influence or strategic role. But this also is reflected in our post-program opportunities. So often, in fact, pretty much every cohort that we've had, certainly in Wales, have created their own sort of mini group. That lifelong learning exists post-program, because this is all about, as well as learning the skills and the attributes and the approaches that can lead to positive social change. It's about developing community and peers and having a community of other leaders who understand your experiences, the challenges, the joys, that you can continue your learning with. Everyone is a leader is something that we believe in. Again, this kind of relates to how we frame and approach our programs, and also our eligibility criteria, recognizing that leadership looks different in so many different kinds of third sector, non-profit, and community and voluntary organizations, and we really reflect that in the design as well, which I'll tell you a little bit more about. I've said this already. We know that good leadership is essential for social change, particularly when we have lots of systemic issues that maybe provide barriers and challenges. So this ongoing iterative approach to leadership development is really important, given that contexts are always changing for us and the communities that we're serving. So we really are zooming in, focused on that really high quality leadership. And then finally, leaders grow leaders. I'm sure lots of you on this call will be thinking a lot about succession planning, capability, how you develop your volunteer kind of pool, and how we're bringing people in. And this is a process of kind of developing ourselves, but also in that process, developing and modeling leadership for others. So we really can see and have seen over the 15 years that we've been developing programs and delivering them, that leaders do grow leaders. And through these kinds of programs, more and more leaders emerge. So they are our beliefs. And just to take a moment to acknowledge our funder and our partners. So this is a fully funded program, which means there's no fee for participants at all, and that's been made possible by the Henry Smith Foundation. And we are also really excited and proud to be continuing to work with Compass, our place-based partner with whom we've been working really closely to ensure that the design of the program meets those local place-based needs. And that's the purpose of our place-based programs, is that it's not a one size fits all. It is about really seeking to understand the nuances of the experiences that exist, for example, in more rural locations compared to, let's say, London, coastal regions that might have other kind of contextual issues and barriers that affect the work of those social purpose leaders. And so that's why it's really important that we're partnering here with Compass. I would just like to hand over to Siobhan for a moment to introduce herself and talk a little bit about the partnership.
Oh, Prananda, it's great to be here and to see so many on the call today. So I'm Siobhan, be the program manager for Social Leaders Cymru. So it's been great being able to work with so closely with Claw Social Leadership over the last couple of years and WCVA because we've been working on Social Leaders Cymru. So we've been able to sort of bring place-based programs to Newport, Wrexham, and Swansea, and 2 online programs for emerging and experienced leaders over the last 18 months. And it's really exciting that we've been able to continue sort of working with Claw as they've brought in this opportunity through Henry Smith Foundation. So as Amit was saying, before this program was launched, there was a sort of consultation period that we've been talking with, key partners in West Wales to hopefully that the program content will meet the needs of sort of yourself as leaders in West Wales. So just say it's great to be here today, and I'll hand you back to Amit.
Thank you, Siobhan. Wonderful. So I'm going to start now by just talking through the core components of the program. It's a 4-month program that starts in February next year. And you'll see here a little bit of a map. It's mostly sequential, but some of these things run throughout the 4-month experience. But it starts with an in-person welcome session, which will be held in Carmarthen. And this is an opportunity to meet your facilitator, but also to start building relationships with your peers. That networking and relationship building, we know, is a really important part of the ongoing support that we want participants to get as a result of the program. So in that session, you'll have an opportunity to, as I say, get to know your peers, but also start to learn some of those foundational bits of learning that will feed through the program. I've just seen a question about dates. Absolutely. I'll point you to the website where you can see the full program schedule and all of the dates. Absolutely. So it starts with that in-person session where we kind of set the scene, get some of those key learning themes to the surface, but also really just start to forge those connections within the group. Then there is a 4-week Discover module. And what this does is, again, it kind of embeds some of those foundational leadership themes and a little bit of theory that gets us thinking and reflecting about who we are as leaders, really discovering our leadership. And this is hybrid. So there are some online modules that are self-guided, and then there will be some online sessions that are facilitated. They're live and synchronous, and they're facilitated by your program facilitator to really help you make sense of some of the things that are coming up from those online modules. So those spaces are all about setting, as I say, the scene and bringing some of those important leadership themes to life through that Discover program. And we've seen real success with this component in a number of our programs, and it being placed at the beginning is really helpful in ensuring everyone's kind of got some shared language around leadership in your contexts. Now, throughout the program, you'll have 4 what we call action learning sessions or action learning sets. And if you're not familiar with the mechanism of action learning, it's a really powerful learning tool that we have seen real success with in other programs in Wales, where you have a confidential group space with an accredited action learning facilitator to talk through the application of the learning that's emerging from the program in context. So really thinking about how your learning can be applied. It's confidential, which means you're able to talk about real challenges and you're in a group kind of context, sense making and thinking about how you can draw on your learning to navigate specific challenges. And so you'll have 4 3-hour sessions over the course of those 4 months, and they're a really valuable way of bringing that learning to life. So those action learning sets are a really important component. There'll also be 3 sessions that are focused on some themes that have emerged from our co-design process that Siobhan has mentioned, which we'll come to in just a moment. But yeah, we wanted to make sure that we give real focused attention with expert speakers, with expert leaders in certain areas that can really speak to the nuances and the needs of leaders based in West Wales. So there will be three-hour focused sessions delivered by experts. So not necessarily your main program facilitator. That person will oversee and hold the space for the whole program. A really exciting moment really in the program where a lot of the magic happens will be our residential. So that will be a 2-night, 3-day event where we really come together and deepen that learning and deepen our relationships. And there'll be a whole range of collaborative learning approaches, including a hackathon similar to action learning, slightly different, but it is a collaborative approach to collective problem solving where we're looking at shared challenges within the region and working with a facilitator to remedy some of those. Within that, there's also Lumina Spark, which you'll see further along on the map here. And Lumina Spark is the tool that we use to support leaders to try and unearth and start to understand some of the traits that we might use and lean into as leaders, how we show up in our work. And it's in essence, it's like a personality or psychometric portrait, but it's much more nuanced than some of those other personality models that you might have that might have 4 or 5 or 6 boxes. This gives you a really detailed understanding of some of the traits that we might have as leaders, and it invites us to think about how we might move towards others and how we might pull different levers depending on the leadership challenges that we might be presented with. So you'll have a whole day with a Lumina Spark practitioner guiding you through the unpacking of your personalized leadership portrait, and you'll be guided through thinking about what that means for you and how you can maybe learn from that and apply your learnings in context. Also within the residential, there'll be an opportunity to work with a strategy expert to think about what does that mean? What does strategy really mean to lead strategically, to navigate change, given the context of the community organizations that will be joining the program. So there's a real blend across 3 days of purpose, but also really leading change within your organizations and then working collectively to think about how across the region we could be joining forces to problem solve collectively. Also, it's just a really wonderful way to connect and create community. There'll be chances to have, a lovely dinner. There'll be opportunities for walks and a moment to step away from the demands of your role and to really recharge and to focus on yourself. You'll have access to a coach, another confidential space for you to really work through some of the things that are coming up for you. So you'll notice there's a blend here of facilitated, online, and then also confidential spaces for you to bring the learning to your work and to your challenges. So you'll have, I believe it's 3 coaching sessions over the course of the program, and you'll get introduced to those if you apply and you're on the program at the beginning of the process. And then in June, we celebrate all of your wonderful work and all of your learning and progress with an in-person session. Again, that will be in Carmarthen. That's to kind of really consolidate, think about what your key takeaways and learning points are, and to celebrate everything that you've done. I'll just leave this translated version on the screen for a moment. If Malik, you could just skip to the next one just for a moment there. And then moving on to the themes that I've mentioned, I've talked about how and where some of these themes might be embedded, but I wanted to just share with you some of the high-level themes that have come through that consultation process that Siobhan described, where we worked with a number of representatives from a number of community, voluntary, and social enterprise organisations in West Wales. So strategic leadership, which I mentioned, but also systems thinking about how you zoom out from your smaller context and how you can think about how you operate within that wider context, regionally, perhaps nationally, and then thinking bigger as well. So really thinking about leading and navigating change as a leader. Resilience and well-being, thinking about the pressures, the barriers, and the challenges that are very real and how we can work in a way that's sustainable. So acknowledging in a really safe and open way what those challenges are, and then how we can find a way of working that's kind, that's sustainable, that centers our self-care, knowing that we can only serve the communities that we're here to serve if we are also knowing and looking after ourselves really, really well. So there'll be sessions with well-being experts who understand how this shows up in the third sector. And then finally, thinking carefully about how we can improve the quality of conversations with funders and partners. So thinking about the challenges that might exist when it comes to securing funding, and then thinking about how we can story tell, how we can, in a really compelling way, develop those relationships, but also bring to life the purpose and mission of our work. So this final point is around enhancing the quality of our conversations with funders to support us to secure funds and to continue delivering our important work. So that's at a high level the kind of the three key themes that have come from the process. Inevitably, though, throughout the program, other things will emerge, and that's wonderful. And our facilitator will be able to hold those and zoom into them as and when they come up throughout those conversations. And there will be specific things that you might want to share and raise. And if you're on the program, you'll absolutely have the space to do that. So these are not the only themes that will be covered. These are things that we know we want to focus on in those three-hour workshops that I've mentioned. All right, enough from me. I'm going to hand over to Glenn, who's going to just speak for a moment about his experience. Thanks.
Thanks, Amit. Firstly, just wanted to say that I'm so happy to see that this program is available in West Wales. That's where I grew up, that's where I'm from. Um, I was fortunate enough to take part in the one in Swansea, which was towards the end of 2024, but finished up in July 2025. And the sort of broad themes that I took away from that was just the power really of just listening to where other people are at as well. So connection and learning with others, and just that time. It was so valuable just to have that time, and then all the exposure to the content. And it's had a huge impact on me and how I approach work. And just that the point that it is a funded program. I saw that it was a funded program, but I also saw the value in it as well. Um, and just to reference the strategy workshop, that we had quite a few different workshops on different themes. The strategy one wasn't one I particularly knew an awful lot about in my role. I'm more kind of operational, but I would say now that that's kind of again shifted how I approach topics and sort of how work is spoken about and thought about, and I'm able to kind of offer that in leadership meetings as well. Um, the other things sort of Amit referenced there as well was the hackathon. I just want to spend a moment on that as well. That has basically changed sort of how networking now works within our service. So usually we'd kind of keep in touch with people, see what's going on, but now we're focusing on what is the issue, what is the problem, who can we connect with. So it's completely shifted how we approach that, and that's one of the sort of exciting things, what that might look like in West Wales. And I'm sure that'll be like a really positive outcome of all of the people on the program. Just wanted to sit a little bit as well with the Lumina Spark session. So there's lots of these like profile sort of schemes out there, but this one was like really detailed, and it was just so useful to see like areas where yes, I could be sort of focusing on and developing, but it also I come away from that session sort of just really feeling, yeah, actually I am really strong in these areas as well, and that's okay, and I can play to those strengths. So essentially, my advice to anyone thinking of applying is go for it. You literally have got nothing to lose, and turn up. The facilitation was really, really excellent, and you'll just kind of get into this flow state where you're taking in on all these ideas, you're connecting with people, listening to where they're at, and there is a lot of challenge in the third sector at the moment, but it's good just to check in and learn from others as well. So yeah, that would kind of be my message. Just go for it, and you will it'll only be of benefit.
Thank you so much, Glenn. That's really, really helpful, and I'm so pleased you had such a great experience on it. So thank you for bringing that to life for those on the call. Much appreciated. Okay, so we'll just talk through now, I guess, some of the details, the dates, what to do next if you're interested. So we'll just talk a little bit about the application criteria. Um, and yeah, as you can see here, we've talked about the kind of the kinds of organizations, but just to make that really clear, we're looking at, around 3 or more years, but that's not really a hard and fast rule. We've talked about how we recognize that leadership appears in lots of different guises and lots of different ways. And leadership we're defining here as having influence over, it could be a project, a team, a whole organization. But it could be also across a whole range of different types of organizations. So you can see here a charity, a non-profit, a volunteer organization, a social enterprise that's ultimately working towards a social purpose. Community interest companies are also examples, any non-profits. So really quite open, and we recognize there are lots of different types of organizations that manifest in different ways. So if you're not sure whether this eligibility criteria kind of fits, then please do just reach out, and a colleague will put our email address in the chat in a moment. But those are the most important things, is that you've had some experience of leading in this area, and that you are working towards a social purpose in a non-profit organization or with a non-profit organization. You'll may have seen in terms of where we're focused in West Wales, as we've mentioned. So just lost my slides here. So you might have seen on the website, if you looked at that, sort of Ceredigion, Carmarthenshire and Pembrokeshire being sort of the areas that we're focused in, but surrounding areas within the West Wales region, absolutely, we'd welcome applications too, and perhaps Siobhan can speak to more to that if there are questions around sort of the geography side of things. But yeah, we wanted to keep this open, but acknowledge in terms of the eligibility criteria, acknowledge that we would love for participants to have had some experience of leadership, and as I say, that can have looked in lots of different ways. There are 25 places available. So yeah, lots of experience in delivering programs where we've got a sense of what that sweet spot is in terms of the number that makes for really rich conversations, that creates a lovely cohort that can then continue post-program to network and support. And we have also kept the application process as light as possible. We know that you guys are really, really busy and that you're in demanding roles. And so we want the application process to be a straightforward one. But what we're really interested in is your commitment to the work that you're doing, and demonstrating an understanding of where you are as a leader, in that sense, what leadership skills you want to develop through the program in order to enable the change that you want to see within the communities that you're supporting. So just to guide you a little bit on that application, those are the things that we're really kind of interested in. Understanding kind of your commitment to the social cause, and then what it is that you want from the program to grow as a leader. That helps us understand kind of where you're coming from in terms of your initial self-awareness as a leader and what you're hoping to gain from the program. In terms of dates, so applications close at the very end of the day on the 14th of January. So we've got a month. And the plan is that we get all of our outcomes to applicants by the end of that following week. It might be that, you hear from us a little bit sooner, but we will let you know if there's any changes in these deadlines. You'll receive comms from us if there's any shifts. But that closing date is really important for you to just have in mind. Lots of time here for you to then ask us questions. If anything comes up after this webinar, please do just give us a shout. We'll be really happy to chat with you via email or even jump on a call if you're not quite sure if this is the program for you now that you've learned a bit more about it. But if it does feel good, please do send in your applications. We're really excited that we've had a lot of interest in the program, which is great. It's great to see so many of you on the call today. So just let us know if you have any questions at all. If I can just ask a colleague, oh great. So the link to the website is in the chat, and that will give you the program dates, because obviously you'll want to see what your availability is like. So please do take some time to look at those dates. I've mentioned that the in-person welcome and close will be in Carmarthen. The residential, the 2 nights, that will be at the Cliff Hotel in Cardigan, if I remember rightly. I think Siobhan might Yes, that is right. So really beautiful venue. If you're not familiar with the Cliff Hotel, do have a little look. But it will really allow you to just have a bit of time to step away, as I say, from the role and focus on yourself and to develop on to focus on your development. Okay, Lisa's a fan of the Cliff. Good. Great. Okay, I'm going to hand over to you. We have just a couple of minutes for questions, so please do pop those in the chat. But as I say, if nothing comes up now, please do just reach out and let us know if you've any questions at all. Great question there from Bethan. Thank you. So yeah, so all of our alumni become part of. So absolutely, you'll be part of this program's alumni, but you will be a member of our Claw Social Fellowship as well. So there will be opportunities, and we're actually kind of going through a process where we're kind of reimagining and redesigning what that ongoing support and ongoing opportunities to connect look like. Some of them might well be local, with Compass perhaps. Some of them might well be extended offers from us as a central team at Claw Social. So post program, you'll have opportunities within your cohort to connect, and sometimes they're sort of self-initiated, and that's great. Off you go, but there might be further opportunities as well, perhaps in a place-based setting to connect. There certainly will be invitations to attend things, whether that's a webinar, conferences from us centrally at Claw Social. Thanks, Ashley. Yeah, I think the most important thing is we want you to attend as much as possible, and if you know that there is already a clash, letting us know in advance so we can work out kind of how crucial that is in terms of its connectivity with those other components, whether it's something we can support you to catch up with in another way. So we really do want our participants to attend as much as possible, but of course we understand that there are moments, because of the nature of your work and having things already scheduled, there might be the odd clash. So I wouldn't say 100% is essential. It's desired, but of course we understand the realities within which you guys are working, so we don't want you to stress about that. The most important thing is just letting us know so we can plan to ensure that you do get the learning that you would have gotten if you missed that thing. Christine. Yes, we can do that, Christine. So if you check tomorrow, possibly by the end of the day, this recording will be up on the Claw Social YouTube account, and you'll be able to watch this through and get all the information that you need from that. Sorry, Raindolph's already said that. Thanks, Raindolph. Okay. Frontline exhibition. Thanks, Heather. I think that's a really good question. So a lot of the program will be talking about the context within which you are leading. And we'll draw on some of those kinds of insights and challenges. So action learning, for example, is about responding to live challenges. So it might be that you're able to draw on the kinds of experiences that you've had in the past. We obviously we'd love for this to equip you with the skills and the attributes to lead now, but also in the future. So I would say if you've had leadership experiences within this context in terms of it being social purpose, then do apply, because it's like, yeah, I can understand here that you're studying, but you're looking at your future prospects. So I would say that that's fine. Siobhan, did you want to come in now? I saw your virtual hand up.
Yes, thank you. I'm just also sort of looking at the question from Alice, the in-person stuff. So the beginning and end sessions are at a venue in Carmarthen. So it's the in-person first session, last session, when you say the residentials in the Cliff Hotel, but also be staying at the Gibbet as well, which is sort of the sister hotel, which is literally a few yards from each other, if everyone knows that area. So yeah, very exciting opportunity to visit the Cliff. The other bit I just wanted to chat about was the question about what happens with the fellows is currently also with Social Leaders Cymru, as a follow-up to the place-based programs that we've had in Wrexham, Swansea, and Newport. We're sort of going to be running some regional networks to ask the alumni from those programs, what else they'd be interested in doing going forward. Also, if you're near any of those venues as well, you'd also be sort of welcome. So we'll be sending out some comms about that. And also next year, there'll also be other online sessions as well. So just say as part of the alumni offer, which as more programs take place, the alumni will grow. You'll be welcome to those.
Brilliant. Thank you, Siobhan. I think. The application process. Yes. So if you follow the link that's further up in the chat to the website page, there's an applications open button. It's a couple of questions that helps us understand your motivations for joining a program like this. There are two questions really focused on helping us understand the purpose of your work and your commitment to that social cause, and then really what you hope to gain from the program in terms of your leadership development in order to further enable the change that you want to see in the communities that you're supporting. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, multiple people from the same organization can apply. There's no cap on that at all. Bro, we are 3 minutes over, so I don't want to keep you from hopefully your lunch. And I want to thank you all so much for joining. Give us a shout if you've got any questions. Our email address is in the chat. And we really look forward to welcoming your applications. And thank you so much to colleagues. Thank you, Glenn, for coming along and sharing your experience today. And yeah, have a great day, everybody. Take care. Thank you.